Hello, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and I want to thank all of our keynote speakers, expert moderators, panelists, and solutions sponsors for participating in this year's Insight Jam Live. This has been a big year with the launch of the InsightJam.com community site and the amazing growth of the Insight Jam YouTube channel, which now has over 500,000 subscribers. Much of this success is tied directly to the video events, podcasts, and panel discussions we have been producing, and none of that would be possible without the thoughtful participation of the many IT professionals who are generously sharing their expert insights for this latest jam. We are building Insight Jam to be a place to celebrate enterprise technology with best practices, expert analysis, and solution showcases. And we want all of you to join us there to keep the jam going into the new year and beyond. If you haven't joined Insight Jam, please do. And if you already have, take a moment to invite some of your colleagues. And again, thank you all for being here and enjoy this event.
Solutions Review presents Insight Jam, a social media community for enterprise technology. Hello and welcome to the 6th annual Insight Jam Live. My name is Jonathan Paula, pleased to bring you strategies for AI impact, 4 days of thought leadership. And that 4 days includes 18 expert keynotes, the first of which you just saw if you were watching live with Samir Sharma, and 11 panels, the first of which is going to kick off right now, integrating GenAI into data analytics workflows. We have established a team from across the country to discuss, all moderated by Shawn Rogers. Dave, William, Ryan, John, and Durgesh, thank you so very much for being here. Welcome to the show. I'm going to kick us off with some introductions. Shawn, we'll start with you as you're our moderator. 30 seconds or so, tell the audience a bit about yourself and maybe some of your work history.
Yeah, fantastic. Great to be here. Good to see everybody. I'm Shawn Rogers. I'm the CEO of BARC Research, and we're a research events and advisory firm, global, and we have 25 analysts around the world that cover topics like the one we're going to discuss today. And we do quite a lot of research in the area of AI, along with machine learning, and of course, GenAI, which is the topic of the day. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. It's great to be here.
Thank you very much. Dave Cameron, over to you next. Welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is Dave Cameron. I've worked in marketing analytics my entire career, culminating as global vice president for the Nielsen Company 7 years ago. And after that, I put out my own shingle and started teaching. And as you can see from my description here, I teach at the University of Chicago, continuing education. And the idea is within the degree programs, it's difficult to keep up with all the changes that are happening in AI today and what that means for everyone. And so our university has continuing education programs to help people upskill.
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm Durgesh Matkekar. I'm the VP of Engineering at Prometheum.ai, which produces an AI-powered instant data fabric. But prior to this, I have primarily worked in the data analytics space for companies like Cloudera at scale, as well as producing data pipelines for large financial firms.
I believe I'm next. All right. I was waiting for the focus to change. So hello, everybody. John Thompson. I am the global AI leader for EY. I've been working in the field of data and analytics for about 40 years now. And as you can see behind me, I've written a number of books about data analytics, teams, and those kind of things. I'm working on my 5th book right now. And at EY, we're building all the different Gen AI tools that the 420,000 people use on a daily basis. So excited to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. Ryan, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Ryan Welsh. I'm the field CTO for Generative AI at Qlik. A lot of people think of Qlik as the analytics company. It is an end-to-end data platform going from data integration, data quality, analytics, and AI. I was previously the founder and CEO of a startup, venture-backed startup called Kindi, that was a pioneer in the generative AI space that Qlik acquired in January of 2024.
Awesome. And last but not least, William McKnight.
Hello, William McKnight. I run McKnight Consulting Group. I'm really excited to be here because generative AI is going to be very important to enterprises next year and beyond. At McKnight Consulting Group, we build a lot of strategies for our enterprise clients all over the world. And these are action plans that comprise the people, process, and technology and architecture that those clients will need over the next ensuing years, which are generally very well followed and appreciated. So we enjoy doing that strategy work, and I do quite a bit of analyst work as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, one and all, for being here. Really appreciate your time. I am looking forward to listening in on the discussion. But since I'm not qualified to talk about it, I'll hand things over to our moderator, Shawn Rogers, to kick things off with the first question and topic. Good luck.
Well, thank you very much. As I mentioned, it's great to be here, and it's an exciting topic. Certainly a very disruptive one. All of us here on the panel have been in the tech space for many years, and I think we would all agree right off this top today that this is probably one of the most wonderfully disruptive technology we've seen in a very long time. It's only been 2 years since ChatGPT made its arrival on the scene and started to get everybody's attention around the topic of GenAI, and it has found multiple paths into the enterprise, into analytics, and especially data management. Today, we're going to talk about data analytic workflows that are being powered or integrated with GenAI or by GenAI. And I'm sure that everybody in the audience wants me to stop recapping and start asking this great panel some questions. So I'm going to dive in with the first one, which is, let's start by talking about practical use cases, where you're seeing this technology being used, how businesses can prioritize it, how they can start these initiatives. And Dave, I'm going to start with you if that's okay. And I'd love your comment on this first question about, kind of practical applications for the tech.
Yeah, I mean, we've made a lot of strides from applied statistics and machine learning and that sort of stuff. And it's heavily reliant on structured data, right? If you look at all the best machine learning algorithms, it generally assumes structured data. But with generative AI, we can find clues hidden in unstructured data, things that people could find if they had hours and hours and days to do it, like text and video and sound, and incorporate that in. And to me, that's really compelling here.
It certainly opens the door for brand new and innovative things, most certainly. Durgesh, do you have comments on this?
Absolutely. I think Dave mentioned unstructured data. What we found is that enterprises tend to have lots of heterogeneous data sources. They come in all shapes and sizes and volume and so on. And one of the challenges that we've seen our customers face is that in the sea of data, how do you find value? And that's where I think an AI-powered data fabric such as that we provide helps us divide or answer business questions. And GenAI is excellent in actually dividing the business questions, translating the business questions into discovery of data, and then turning that into data products that can answer those questions. So that's where we find, I think GenAI has made significant contributions so far, and it will keep doing in the foreseeable future.
I find it unsurprising that we started by talking about data. You can't do most of this without data. My research at BARC indicates that most customers start with structured data, as Dave mentioned, but the fastest rising data type that we see that's being adopted for AI is unstructured. So finding value in all of those places across the enterprise is really important. John, I know that your firm helps a huge variety of customers. What are you seeing from this sort of practical application or use case standpoint?
It's a great question, Shawn. Yeah, it's interesting that ChatGPT's birthday was just a few days ago. My second anniversary at EY is today. So, we've been focused on GenAI for that entire 2 years. We've built a tool that services 300,000 of our employees and across a wide range of use cases. It helps them write proposals, it helps them write emails, it helps compare, massive documents, upload hundreds of documents that are 1,000 pages long, and then say, hey, what's the difference between these documents? So I've been out and I've talked to somewhere just over 400 clients at this point in the last year, and I see them looking at productivity applications. How are we able to write legal briefs faster? How are we able to generate proposals faster? And it's no surprise that we did start talking about data. I've been saying that, we are using almost 100% of the world's data now And that's a sea change in what we've done in the past.
Absolutely. I remember early in my career reading and writing articles about how we only use 20% of enterprise data to make important decisions. And that has gone into the rearview mirror rather quickly. Ryan, I know that you're close to this topic. What's your thinking on sort of these practical ways to apply GenAI into analytic workflows?
Yeah, what I find interesting is when we think about analytics, we always think about doing analytics on the structured data, and Durgesh and I believe Dave were hitting on this as well around unstructured data. And so the ability to ask these natural language questions of unstructured data and actually get direct, contextually relevant and trustworthy answers. Because when you think about it, like a user is just trying to get an answer to their business question. They don't care if it comes from structured or unstructured data. They want an answer, right? And so previously, as vendors, we would say we can give you an answer provided it's in your structured data. Now we're saying we can give you an answer whether it's in your structured data, unstructured data, and that just becomes very compelling. And I think what's going to be really compelling going forward is how do you bring those data formats together into kind of a seamless experience where people are just asking questions and getting answers regardless of the data source. And that's ultimately where we're seeing use cases in knowledge management, customer experience, internal question answering on internal knowledge bases, and just this ability to ask these questions and get these answers regardless of where the answer lies.
Yeah, certainly the consumers are not interested in the plumbing as much as what comes out of it, for certain. William, I know that you get a lot of practical experience in the field with your clients and customers. How are they using GenAI for this topic?
Yeah, actually, I think this year has been a phenomenal success for GenAI when I look around the enterprises that I'm aware of in terms of what they're doing. So maybe I'll wrap up the topic by talking about a few enterprises and what they're doing. And I think what strikes me is the wide variety of possibilities for deploying GenAI. You can do automated customer service, which we all experience to some degree or another. Predictive maintenance in manufacturing is another big area. Fraud detection in finance is also has also been taken to new levels. Personalized marketing and the personalized nature of our enterprises today is drastically ramping up because of GenAI. And I think that's where it's going, to a more personalized arena. AI in healthcare for diagnostic treatment. For financial advisory, there's workflow and AR analytics, content creation and management, cybersecurity and risk management. I mean, the list goes on in terms of the applicability. It's only really limited by our imagination now.
It certainly is. I want to expand on that topic, guys, before I move on to the next one. Our research indicates that 37% of boards in companies with boards of directors are telling their executive suite that we will give you or find a way to increase budgets for AI projects. And so I know that the fueling of this innovation is happening. William, I'll start with you and kind of go back in the other order. Where do you think we are in this, this curve of maturity? Are we still standing at the start line? I mean, I know we're 2 years in from the OpenAI stuff, but at the same time, I feel personally it's early. Where do you think we're at from a maturity standpoint?
It's totally early, totally early. We're just starting out. We're still experiencing so many challenges along the way that still need to be conquered, such as data quality and availability is a big challenge. Companies, they want to do AI, but when they look at their data infrastructure, they don't know where all their data is. There's gaps. History is somewhere else. All the different data stores are at a different level of quality, and it's not at the standard that's necessary for GenAI. And they need to bring in third-party data, and they're not really keen on doing that. And so there's a lot of challenges in the area of data. There's a lot of challenges in the area of process. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of boards making promises out there. And we got to be sure that we drive AI initiatives towards business goals. And that is something that I find we're doing a few too many science experiments now, and they really have to bear out to the bottom line of the organization to be sustainable. So we're still early days overcoming challenges.
Yeah, we're already seeing interesting metrics from how many projects are started versus how many are actually deployed into production. Our research indicates that end users wanted to wait for their trusted partners, vendors in the space, and certainly Durgesh and Ryan represent trusted vendors in the space. When you're working with your clients, Ryan, what are you seeing on that side of it?
So we're seeing our customers want to talk to their data. And so these natural language interfaces for your structured data, for your unstructured data, for writing text to SQL, for doing data transformations, data extractions, all of that kind of those natural language interfaces. I will say, going back to your kind of initial question to spark off this part of it, is where are we kind of in this cycle? I will say that it feels like we're a little bit past the top of the hype cycle, kind of going into that trough of disillusionment, because we are experiencing a lot of executives say, I believed this technology could do this thing, but these hallucinations are really problematic for this specific use case that I'm trying to pursue. And I think people are still starting to understand how these systems work, such that they can apply them to the right use case. And so there's still continued optimism, a lot of investment going into experimentation, some systems going into production, but people are just starting to get a handle on what these technologies can and cannot do, which I think will kind of narrow in on how to ultimately put these systems into production and ultimately deliver ROI for the organization.
That makes sense. Durgesh, do you have anything to add from your perspective as a vendor in the space?
Absolutely. I think I'll take over where Ryan left off. I think when we talk about GenAI, what we are seeing from our customers is that they're not just talking about converting from data or natural language to text SQL, although that's an extremely important. But they also want to actually be able to reason about these products. These products need to be consistent and robust and reliable. So for the quality of the data products to be accurate, I think being able to explain how these GenAI products are creating these solutions, as well as Ryan mentioned hallucination. I think the problem of that can be somewhat solved or at least reduced if you have the right context fed into the GenAI solutions. And that's why more and more customers are thinking about how do we actually add more rich context, more sophisticated context into your LLM model prompts and so on to get these products. So this could mean integrating with semantic models or their internal data systems and so on.
Well, I agree. Hallucinations, accuracy, all of those topics are a big deal. Dave, I suspect that you talk about that an awful lot at the University of Chicago.
Yeah, a big part really is assessing and understanding the risks and really ethical implications. I mean, that could be a good separate topic of itself, is the ethics, the risk level, how confident are you in the answer? And I think we're at the point where enough companies have started deploying it, but they haven't quite figured out, where things could go wrong. I don't want to go a whole lot into ethics now if we're going to talk about it later, but we will. So let's save it till then.
Fantastic. Hey, John, where are we at in this race? Are we at the starting line? Where do you perceive it with all the clients that you folks work with?
Well, if you think of the classic hockey stick metaphor, I think we're still down on the blade. I don't even think we've started to accelerate upwards and to the right yet. The conversations we're having, for the most part, not with everybody, but with many hundreds of clients, is what do I do? How do I get started? What is the use case? I think William did a really good job in elucidating and communicating use cases that most of us see in the marketplace. One of the points that I'll also reiterate in support that everybody said is data quality. In the structured data world, we all know about edit masks and input control and quality of data. Most people don't think of data quality in their unstructured data. We built a system for a very large tech company, and the first questions that we asked with them, all three of them came back and they said, well, your system is wrong. It's just, these answers are inaccurate. And we went back and all the documents that they gave us were source documents were all wrong. So, the data quality in unstructured data really has not been addressed. The only documents you can really think of at this point of having a high level of data quality is contracts. But if you're thinking about marketing documents or documentation or process overviews, the quality is pretty low.
Well, and we're back to like the foundational topic again, data quality, data accessibility, and so on, which is the core of what we want to talk a little bit more about. And I'm going to switch us back specifically to today's topic about using GenAI to build, augment, make easier this idea of analytic pipelines, data pipelines, and serving that set of personas in the enterprise. And I'm curious, Dave, what kind of challenges do you think or see these users when they're applying this technology to integrating data and making it part of analytic pipelines?
I think it goes back to that a lot of the AI stuff is driven by the IT organization so a lot of my students at University of Chicago are 35, 40-year-old adults who are coming back to upscale, and they're feeling like they don't have a say in it. Like the IT department has decided this is what we should do. And then you lose that domain expertise as input. It's like John just said, the data quality for unstructured data that they would bring to the table tends to get missed. And where I see this is there has to be collaboration across the entire enterprise right from the get-go. That just makes things so much better.
So we're back to it takes a village.
You got it.
A little bit. Durgesh, what do you see as challenges for your clients and customers? What's the big thing they're trying to solve here when they're integrating data for analytics?
Yeah, I mean, I think just adding to what Dave is saying is that discovering the right amount of data, regardless of where it is located and which format it is in, because businesses just need answers to their questions. They don't care about whether the data needs to be moved from system A to system B, does it need to be pipelined, and so on. So they want this ability to ask the question and get the answers without worrying about all the plumbing. And that's where I think GenAI can actually add value by discovering products that have been already created, as well as creating new products from the data that you have in disparate and heterogeneous systems, regardless of whether it's structured or unstructured.
William, are you seeing similar challenges with your customers? And is it opening the aperture to include more people, more like almost, I hesitate to say democratizing, but does this technology open the door wider for more people to be involved in it? And does that present new challenges?
Not yet,
Okay.
although I think it may come to that in terms of challenges. I'm glad you mentioned people, because I was going to go there. Because we can't forget about bringing people along with what we do with programs like organizational change management, where you have an established, this is why we're doing AI from the top, that you're spreading throughout the organization. You have to do it to be competitive. You have to think about AI every place today or formerly that you used to think about BI. You just have to. You have to become more efficient. And so I think that's a huge part of AI success is going to be bringing people along, because a lot of people hear, oh, we're doing AI. They think about their jobs and this and that. I don't think 2025 is going to be a big year of job disruption. I think there's going to be job additions, actually, as a result of people trying to do AI. Down the road, that might be a different story. But I think for now that we just really need to be bringing all people along with our AI programs.
Ryan, I know that your company helps customers on this topic quite often. I'm sure you see some pretty interesting challenges or are solving interesting challenges. What are you seeing when it comes to specifically this idea of building analytics pipelines with Gen AI?
Yeah, what I find, kind of going back to what John said about not thinking about whether or not your unstructured data is clean. What I found interesting, and what I find interesting in the enterprise, is I feel like a lot of people save to PDF and go like, oh, this format is fantastic, so let's just save to PDF. And then all of us are going like, great, now we need to get that data out of that PDF. And it's very, very challenging. But what's most exciting is the application of a lot of Gen AI technologies, large language models, to actually the partitioning, extraction, adding metadata to, what I'll call like the PDF problem within the enterprise. And so one of the most, I would say, active parts of research that I'm seeing here in Silicon Valley and stuff we're working on at Click is getting all this information out of these PDFs and other unstructured data formats to put into analytic pipelines. And so now that you can get that information, you can put it into a structured format, or you can have a natural language interface where you're querying that information directly. And so I would say like what is most exciting is applying these large language models to the cleansing, extraction of all these kind of data sources that previously we were pulling our hair out and going, we just can't touch them.
I remember sitting in briefings years ago as vendors talked about how data stewards would manually solve the data quality problem across the enterprise. And I can remember sitting there thinking, that's never going to work. Never, ever going to work. I do think that this technology certainly allows us to address it in a new way. Our research shows from a challenge standpoint that skill sets are number one with most people starting this journey. It's also then followed by cost, which is interesting. And we find that more mature users are concerned immediately about cost versus the skill set thing. They get past skill set fairly quickly. And the third part is access to data. And if you put all three of those challenges in one place, I think it causes some pretty concerning challenges. John, do you see the same three in your work, or do you see other outliers from the challenge standpoint?
No, I see the same challenges, to continue the thread that's been going on and to drag us back to data if we ever get too far away from that, is that, when we're building these Gen AI systems, most people don't realize you need to build the Gen AI pipeline that's going to ingest all this data. I'm right there with Ryan. I'm shaking your hand, Ryan, about the PDF problem. I've been talking to Adobe a lot about this, and they're like, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. I'm like, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. It makes our life a lot more challenging. But again, to take it back, you're now, instead of working on what I really think is 1% of the world's data in the structured data world, we're working on almost 100% of the world's data, and it's unstructured and it's messy and it's all over the place. So if we thought building a pipeline for a predictive model was challenging, oh boy, we're now in a whole world of fun now in the pipelines we're building for Gen AI. It's all there. It's all doable. We have some really interesting technologies that are evolving and coming together, but it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to take years to build this stuff out. So that's why I say we're at the blade part of the hockey stick adoption level, because we haven't even really built the foundation to start to address this data.
I agree. The foundation being one of the cores. It's an interesting sort of spot that we're in. I'd like to congratulate all five of you for avoiding the term RAG today. You've all become very close to retrieval augmented generation. It's a very technical aspect of taking data and influencing large language models. Everybody is kind of picked around the topic, but it's one of those core parts of creating good data for analytic pipelines and so on and workflows. We're not going to dive into that topic, but if anybody in the audience has been wondering why the word hasn't come up, I'm kind of glad we didn't get that deep into the weeds today. Let's talk about moving fast and scaling. So how can enterprise customers use Gen AI to move quicker when it comes to workflows, to scale the work that they're doing in this area, and to move faster to optimize their analytics? Ryan, do you want to kick off that aspect? How do you do this faster, simpler, without getting in trouble?
Well, you got to choose the right use cases up front. I mean, I think what's critical is thinking through use cases. So if you think, hey, I'm going to apply this technology to medical diagnosis and it's going to be 100% right all the time and you can just automate away doctors, like that's not the right use case for this technology because we're just not there yet. If you think that you can accelerate marketing content creation where a marketing person could review that output from a generative model to ultimately push that to some source to generate leads, like that is a great use case. And so I encourage people to kind of sort their use cases first, engage with experts that understand how the technology works, so you can kind of stack rank those use cases, tying back to how the technology works. But then also encourage employees to experiment. And so I found a lot of organizations that just buy licenses for their employees to have them start actually engaging with these technologies, understand how they work, start to automate some of their workflows. A lot of use cases actually get pushed up from employees throughout the organization if they're able to experiment.
That's fantastic insight. John, how do you go faster? How do you scale?
We've built a tool at EY called EYQ, and it's been adopted by 100% of the people that can use it. It's the first tool I've ever built in my life that's been adopted by that level of people. And I'm going to take it one step back from what Ryan was talking about. Use cases are very, very important. I agree with him 100%. But what you need to do is build a foundational capability that is modular in the way you've built it. So the technology is moving really fast. Models are coming out weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it is. And the way we built the system is that we can take a model out and snap in a new model in less than a week. So people want to use these models in different ways. So if you build a capability and you do it in the right way, you're not tied to any one model or vectorization or database or any of that kind of stuff. So you can move things in and out really quickly. And then to Ryan's point, you enable your whole organization on a federated basis to experiment on all sorts of different use cases with many different technologies. And you end up with a system that raises the level of knowledge of the organization exponentially. So I think you have to take it back to the system you're building and the platform you're building, and do it in a way that you can leverage the newest and greatest stuff as it comes out on a daily basis.
So what I'm hearing there is maybe modularity, agility within the application to make it easier to scale.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Durgesh, what are you seeing on this front how do you guys help customers move quicker and scale?
Yeah, in addition to what Ryan and John mentioned, I'm going to augment that by saying it's one of the challenges in terms of like speeding up adoption is like reducing the friction. Like I think many times many customers have this roadblock against whether they can trust the product. So to increase the trust in the GenAI capabilities, I think it's important to introduce this product as a, again, a widely used term, say co-pilot, where it's not actually taking away a data analyst's job, or it's not taking away a physician's job. It's going to actually work with you to improve and make you more productive into getting that product out. So I think that's what helps customers figure out how to adopt GenAI in a more confident way.
William, comments on the scale topic?
Yeah, sure. I'm really liking what I'm hearing. I like what Ryan said about experimenting. You learn organizationally by experimenting. So some things about ML are different from the past, but some things are the same. We still got a path to production. We still have to know what that path is. So what we try to do from day one is to implement ML ops. And there are tools for this. Generally, we want to go with one of these tools, but with ML ops, you can repeat, you can enlarge, you can change your model and different things like this that you're going to want to do. You don't want your ML to be a one-off drudge through the organization. It was really hard to get there to production. We don't want to do that again. You want to learn from everything you're doing and inject the good of everything you're doing back into the organization. So the next time around, and you know there will be a next time, it will be a lot easier and more efficient. So keep contributing back to the enterprise as you do your ML.
Dave, you chuckled. Why were you laughing?
the drudge ML thing. It's like, I can't tell you how many times I've run across that as people like, oh, we got to do this. We got to go to this meeting and everything. But I think it goes back to what Ryan said about the use cases. You have to consider the scope and context of each deployment proposed. And in order to do that, you need to get the right people. It goes back to what I said earlier about collaboration. Get the right people in the room. Make sure you're understanding where the impact's going to be. And you can't do that in isolation. You need to have an enterprise-wide view with experts throughout to say, okay, what is the context around this deployment or that deployment or so on.
I'm going to shift gears. I want to talk about ethics and accuracy and those types of things for a moment. One of those cool books behind John Thompson, I helped co-write with John, and we had an entire chapter about companies that maybe over-innovated, maybe went too far with the ability that analytics bring them, and certainly that's an issue around ethics and the utilization of AI. So let's dive into that. I know that we could do an entire session about ethics, but how important is the topic of ethics, along with what data is being used, why it's being used, how it's being used? John, I'm going to come back to you because I referenced the book, but over innovating with insights can be leave you with an icky feeling, for lack of a better word. Where are you at with helping customers with these kind of ethical considerations? Are they asking for your help? Are they thinking about it, or are they making mistakes and not addressing it early on?
It's right in the forefront of everybody's conversations. I think the EU is on the right track with the AI Act and the Digital Markets Act and all the different things that they're legislating in those areas. We are at the forefront of understanding responsible AI is how we're talking about it. We've been working on it. I've only been at EY for 2 years. The team that I lead had been working on it for a year before I got there. So we are talking seriously about, do you have all the rights in your contracts to actually use this data that you have in your organization, internal data, external data, third-party data, the ethical use of the data, the rights to use the data, the right for people to be forgotten, the right to opt out of model training. These are all topics that are at the forefront of our conversations right now. So it's a hot topic. Everybody's discussing it. And I think many executives are concerned about it.
Brian, thoughts on this idea of ethical considerations for AI?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the first things that people talk about when I talk to enterprise customers. And I think this is a lot of lessons learned from kind of the first generation of machine learning. And I think about that as kind of like right around the time that DeepMind was acquired by Google up until the release of ChatGPT. That was like a lot of work around computer vision, using statistical and machine learning methods for structured predictions on structured data, using a lot of supervised machine learning methods. And so there was a lot of work there during that period of time that I think people didn't consider ethics, and some folks got in trouble. And there was a lot of news articles written about this, and it was really challenging for companies to kind of get their head around it. But then now with generative AI, it is top of mind for everyone. As John was saying, like, do you have access and rights to the data? Is your model biased? What are the outputs that are coming out of these systems? Are they correct? And so it's top of mind for every executive that I speak to.
William, are you helping your customers with this topic as well as the technology and people topics?
Absolutely. I'm in those conversations that John spoke about. I think we're having them everywhere. I'm glad he brought up the AI Act, because to me, that's sort of the high watermark right now of what we need to strive towards. Not only do we have to do it if we have business in Europe, but things like that are coming around the world. So it's a good barometer for us to drive all our AI efforts towards. Also, some measure of explainability I like to have in the models that we create. Not that we can fully explain it, but we need to explain the corpus of data that's considered and what the goal is that we gave the AI and things of this nature. I think that would be a reasonable way to conquer the explainability challenge, which is right in here with all this bias and fairness topics that we're talking about. And data bias, by the way, is also really big.
Well, as I said, this is one of those questions we could do an entire segment on. Durgesh, how are you addressing the topic of ethics and responsible use with your clients?
Yeah, I think one of the top challenge that many CDOs that mention is, again, governance. How does GenAI make sure the data doesn't leak into wrong domains? Finance data or private data doesn't get leaked into either the LLM itself or gets shown to users who should not have that access. So I think governance is something that is supremely important in this area, and then that's where we need to spend a lot of time. And again, a lot of improvements need to be made for it to be resilient.
I get to talk on panels like this and talk at conferences, and I make a joke quite often about over innovation and not having the right responsible use guidelines and having your sort of ethical journey kind of chiseled out before you start innovating with AI. And I always tell the audience that at the end of the year, all of the industry analysts take great joy in writing articles about big mistakes companies make. And the takeaway is, don't be in my end of year article, because this is a topic that's going to impact brands in a negative way. We saw it during the big data craze as people started doing new things with data, got their hands on more data. They started doing things that got them in trouble. Dave, is this a topic that you're teaching at the university? Is this a topic that your students are consuming?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the key thing, and I want to go back to the data side, is you can't label a specific AI algorithm application as ethical or unethical. It's really about what goes into it, and as several people have said, the privacy side. So I had an example I used for teaching where a company, they didn't deploy it, they were testing it and said, oh, we get thousands of resumes, big company. What if we ran our hiring process through an AI process and see what happens? And it turned out that the reason people didn't get hired, the most likely reason people didn't get hired, was they had a lot of certificates but no real experience, not necessarily a degree in the area or what have you. And that makes sense. But the reason people did get, most likely reason somebody did get hired, was the first name of David. So aside from the fact I should apply, obviously that's not ethical. And having an HR person as part of the governance, so somebody mentioned governance, as part of like a cross-functional committee of leaders from across the enterprise, catches that and stops it from happening and says, hey, look, domain expertise. You do not feed somebody's name into this. I mean, that's private information. That's illegal. It's unethical. Don't do it. And it didn't happen. And so for me, recognizing there's so many domains, there's so many, you can't know everything. We can't know everything. If you have that, what did I call it, cross-functional committee of leaders across the entire organization, then you get enough people that can evaluate these ethically challenging situations and provide guidance to it. And that's a lot of what I'm teaching is making sure it goes back. I keep feeling I go back to teamwork, but AI doesn't know what everybody does. You need to bring in people with all these various expertise.
Good insight. Good insight. Time goes by fast when we do these things. So I want to ask one final question of the panel. So put on your future hats, end of year hats, and kind of look to 2025 and 26. I'd like to kind of explore the idea of where do you see us heading? From an data integration for analytic workflows in the coming years. What trends do you see, and how do end users stay ahead of the curve a little bit? William, I'm going to start with you if I can. How are you telling your customers to prepare and be ready for things?
Be ready and know your customers in great detail, because you will have to address them in the way that they're going to get accustomed to being addressed in 2025. So I see 2025 as being the year of personalization through AI. So GenAI enabling more advanced personalization, including user experience improvements, and incorporating feedback from the customer as well into how they want to be treated, how they want to be known. And so all this goes into a massive customer profile that's incorporating things that they're aware of and they're not aware of, and bringing in third-party data and so on. So other than that, I think that's a huge trend. Also efficiency in all the things that we do. So if we don't know where to apply GenAI in our organization, I think looking at your processes and how you can make them more efficient is probably the way that a lot of enterprises are going to go, and they will achieve that, I think, in the next year.
Dave, same question for you. What's the future hold?
I wish I knew. What I tend to say to my classes is a quote from Charles Darwin, which I just brought up on my screen here. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change.
Well, it's certainly a time for change. Durgesh, lead us into your future thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, again, this may be, I mean, I might as well say future is already here, in the sense that what we are seeing is that AI, GenAI, especially changing from, okay, you asking a question and getting an answer, to now this concept of AI agents which can actually perform actions on your behalf, can actually reason about or divide the question into multiple tasks and take actions as needed. I think the agentic AI architectures are just getting started, and the possibilities are really endless.
Thank you for that. Ryan?
2025 is the year of agents.
Yeah, I'm surprised agents didn't come up earlier, right?
Yeah,
so here we are, almost an hour in, and they are a very hot topic. Where do you see that going?
Like a lot of vendors. Yeah, I feel like a lot of vendors have rushed out kind of, I'll call it like beta versions of platforms in 2024, testing with early customers. Some vendors will argue that they have hundreds of customers using their agent platform. I would push back on that and say maybe they have a dozen. But 2025 is going to be, how do we roll out these platforms to a version 1.0 of an enterprise grade agent platform that a lot of enterprises can then start to use to automate or accelerate or augment all types of workflows throughout the enterprise. So 2025 is the year of agents. We'll have a conversation this time next year to see how it went.
It has been an interesting race. As an analyst, I get briefed by software companies multiple times a week. And the first company I saw that talked about agents last year, they had 6, and they were really pretty smart ones, and I liked them. The next one had 25, the next vendor had 50, and the last vendor was a huge vendor who renamed their annual event to Agent something or other, and talked about having hundreds of agents. So yes, it's an interesting time. John, one of the things agents rely upon is kind of domain language models, small language models. But I know that's a topic that you're interested in, but what do you see the future bringing around that?
Yeah, I'm going to go forward. The whole topic of ethics is driving this forward. The large language models and all those things will be here. They're, going to be background noise. They're going to be commodities. But, if people are really concerned about the ethics of using data, they're going to be building their own small language models or domain language models. We've already done it. You can do it. It happens. It works. It's really good to do and exciting to do. But everybody's, the last 3 people that brought it up, absolutely 2025 is the year of agents everywhere, and we've taken 3 of those vendors that you've talked about, and we've used their tools, and they're not great. So, there are at least 150 vendors out there right now saying they have agent frameworks and multi-agent frameworks. We've taken a number of our GenAI applications and have rebuilt them into agents. It's going to be big. There is no process in the business world, academic, research world that can't be improved with agents. So happy to come back in a year and see where we actually are in the agent ecosystem. That's going to be an interesting conversation. But this year, it's all going to be about agents.
Guys, thank you for your input. A fantastic conversation. There's a few themes that trickled around and stayed rather consistent. So if you're taking notes, from my perspective, data is the foundation for what we're trying to do with AI in general, and especially critical for AI workflows, supply and analytics. Accessing and utilization of all the data is becoming a theme that resonated across the panel today. All vendors are starting to look at, and some are ahead on this topic of unstructured, semi-structured data, and making it help with the context and accuracy of analytic workflows. I think that's very important. John, I think, was the first one to mention quality today. And this topic of data quality is one that's been around a long time. I know many of you listening to today's program have had data quality projects stall out for more exciting, sparkly projects. And I do think that GenAI is a forcing factor for all of us to slam on our brakes a little bit and look at our data foundation and the quality of our data, because it's being used in a new way with GenAI and AI and machine learning in general. If you have bad quality, you get bad insights. That's a lesson that's been around forever. Last but not least, everybody mentioned ethics as a top priority, and I'm really glad to hear that. So I think that that's smart. Thank you guys for all the input and the information. This was a great conversation.
Yes, and thank you to you, Shawn, for moderating the discussion. It was great to listen in on it over the last 50 minutes or so. Before we wrap things up for good, though, I'd love to invite each of you for some self-promotion, whether you'd like to plug your LinkedIn profile, your company solution, an upcoming podcast or book. The floor is yours. We'll go in reverse clockwise order. So, William McKnight, you're up first.
So check us out at mcknightcg.com. If you don't know how to get started with AI, we are specialists in the very important part of AI, and that is data. So we are building data architectures for the AI future.
Excellent. And thanks again for joining us. Ryan, 30 seconds or so. Where would you like to send people?
Yeah, I would send people to ClickStage. It's STAIGE for everything that Click is doing around AI. Candidly, one of the reasons why I joined Click through the acquisition was because I think Click is one of the probably best companies positioned to deliver on enterprise AI, given the full end-to-end data platform. So just really excited to bring all of our Gen AI technologies to the Click platform.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. John Thompson, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be here on Insight Jam with such an august panel and great thinkers and speakers. Go to my LinkedIn profile, John Thompson. I talk about AI, data, and all sorts of things there. I'm finishing up my 5th book right now. It's going to be called The Path to AGI. It will be published in March, so look for that on Amazon very soon. And I just joined Michigan as a professor, so I'm going to be teaching in Ann Arbor, a class based on my 2nd book, Building Analytics Teams. I'm excited about that.
Very cool. Good for you. Thank you. Durgesh, how about you?
Yeah, so you can go to prometheum.ai to learn about our AI-powered instant data fabric. So where users can turn their business questions into data products without having to move data across. And very soon we'll be releasing our new Copilot, GenAI powered Copilot, which is powered by agents, to even make this process even more simpler. So go to prometheum.ai to see a demo and sign up for a trial coming soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Dave.
I feel like the odd man out here because I'm representing education rather than business, but part of that is because people need to learn. If you're not with a large organization or you're struggling, if you come at University of Chicago, we have a professional education program. It's called UCPE, the University of Chicago Professional Education, where we help professionals with best practices across the industry, the research done at the University of Chicago, where you don't have to get a degree. You can come back and take a specific class in AI. So I would encourage you to look into that, and certainly you're welcome to connect to me on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and well said. Shawn, last but not least.
Absolutely. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can find our research at barc.com. We are launching a brand new research project on AI, and if you'd like to participate, the link is on LinkedIn, and it is Lessons from the Leading Edge. We did some in-depth market research last year. We found a cohort or a subgroup of people that are ahead of the rest of us, about 19-20% of the people that are working in the space space right now are a little bit more advanced than the average. And we're going to explore what they're doing, how they're doing it, and what type of challenges they have. If you're interested in participating in the research, please follow the link at my LinkedIn address.
Excellent. Thank you very much again, Shawn, for moderating. And with that, that will do it for this hour, this panel. Thank you again for your attention and your time watching over the last hour. If you'd like to delve deeper into this topic, please visit our growing community at InsideJam.com, an always-on destination for all your technology needs and research. Or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Inside Jam for panel highlights, weekly podcasts, expert advice, and more. We will be back in just a few short minutes with the second keynote of the day, Wayne Eckerson talking about understanding data products. But for now and for this group, that does it for us. Thank you very much. We hope to see you right back here for the next event. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
For video highlights, replays, and more, visit InsideJam.com.